Hello everyone, welcome back to Samyu Speaks. I decided to move to Jersey City 2 months ago and thought I would make a video on my life in Jersey City, what were the reasons I decided to move here. When I first found out that I got a job in New York City, it was a little bit difficult for me to sift through, and I did a lot of research on where I really wanted to live. All my friends were in Manhattan, so the next logical conclusion would be to find a place in Manhattan. I discovered that there are some great places around the area that actually might be a better deal. And of course, there are trade-offs that you have to make in every decision, but I felt like Jersey City was the best choice. This is a video just explaining and going through all the reasons of why I decided to move to Jersey City. There are three big reasons. Number one, bang for the buck. $3,000 in Jersey City can get you so much more than you can even imagine in Manhattan. And that is one of the biggest pulls. My apartment, which is like a luxury style apartment, you have obviously a rooftop with a pool, a heated pool, and a lot of nice aesthetic sit down areas for co-working space. And then my apartment itself has obviously AC, heating. It's super new and renovated. There is in-unit laundry. There's a lot of space, and I get to live alone, which is, I think, the most important thing. If I lived in Manhattan, it would have been impossible for me to have afforded to live alone. Unless I found something like super rundown. But then to afford something sort of mid-tier nice, I would still have had to room with someone. To get all of this in New York City would have definitely costed way more than $5,000. Parking is $250 to around $300 in the Jersey City area. But then if you have a car in Manhattan, you would have been paying monthly parking of like $800, which is absolutely ridiculous. Who wants to pay that amount? If you lived in Manhattan, there's also a city tax that you pay on top of your federal and your state tax, which is something you don't have to pay living in Jersey City because we're in a totally different state. Really, Jersey City is like living in New York City, but at the same time getting enough of a space from it, which I think is so important because you get access to all the exciting things that the city has to offer, but then you also can get your time away from it, which you would need every now and then because the city can be a bit too much at times. Number two, the commute. So my workplace is in Midtown Manhattan, and it takes me 30 minutes to get there. So there are these trains called the PATH trains that connect New Jersey to New York, and it connects different parts of New Jersey. So the PATH train that I take, the 4 stops in New Jersey are Journal Square, Grove Station, Exchange Place, and Newport. Those are the 4 big ones. There's also Harrison and Newark, which is further out there. The PATH station is pretty well connected within Manhattan as well because there's stops at Christopher Street, 9th Street, 14th Street, 23rd Street, and 33rd Street. It also takes you to World Trade Center. World Trade Center is also very well connected through the subway system. So if commute to work is something that you're considering, just know that it's actually really reliable. The PATH train comes every few minutes during the daytime hours. I have to emphasize daytime hours because nighttime is a whole other story, and I'll get into that a bit later. But actually something that I didn't realize earlier. I love like finding things that are super unexpected, but it actually works out for you. The Journal Square station, PATH station, is the first stop in the train line that it's part of. So every time I go to the station, there's an empty train waiting for me, and I always get a place to sit. These PATH trains in the work time hours can get quite crowded, so being able to have a place to sit every single day on your way to work is more than I could have imagined. It's amazing. Number 3, the peace and quiet. So New York City is just a very loud, noisy place, and I actually have a friend who texted me after staying here for some time saying that when she moved back to Texas she got her first good sleep in a very long time. And I think that's just telling of how chaotic New York is. And of course I love that about New York. I love the hustle and bustle, but you really need your home life to have some quietness and peace to it, which is what really Jersey City can bring to you. It is so nice here. Your sleep quality, as you get older, you realize like how important sleep quality is, and you definitely start to value that a lot more. Jersey City has a lot of very good Indian food places. In fact, I live very close to India Square. India Square is this street with so many restaurants of different cuisines that, takes you right back to India. A lot of the food there is very cheap as well, cheap relatively compared to New York City. And I get some really good idlis and dosas there. And I love Indian food. Like, that's my comfort food. And so to be able to get my comfort food like curd rice and sambar rice and idli dosa and everything that I really crave for so close to me is just like heaven. Now to come to the cons of living in Jersey City. So I think these cons are definitely worth mentioning because it can be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And it really depends on your lifestyle, right? So I cared a lot about my home life, the home setup, the ability to live alone, the ability to have my own kitchen, like the newness, the renovations, and the views. I have really pretty views, if I didn't mention that earlier, of the whole, Statue of Liberty all the way to getting the Manhattan skyline. So like those are things that I kind of prioritize at the top of my list. But for other people, being able to go to Manhattan at night for like a really good nightlife and being able to commute back without a lot of hassle is more important to them. It's like top of their list. At nighttime, the PAT trains come every 40 minutes or so, which is okay. That's like if you time your experience at like all these clubs and bars in such a way that you arrive at the PAT station at the right time, then I think you should be good. But that's a lot of planning and you don't really want to have to do that. If that's something that's important to you, then maybe Jersey City is in the right place for you. Big trains. Actually, there was one time I came back late at night on the weekend and the announcement just said that the PAT train is indefinitely delayed. I don't know how often that happens because they're supposed to run 24/7, but that's happened once with me, and another time it was delayed by a long time. So I did not feel like I wanted to wait that long and ended up taking an Uber, which obviously costs a lot of money. So if you're okay with occasionally going out and just Ubering, then you could live with this. But if you wanted to go out every weekend or days during the weekdays as well, like that's just going to be a struggle for you since the commute can be pretty tiring. There's also going to be a mad rush, especially in the World Trade Center PAT train. That train, like I've never ever had a place to sit when I'm coming back later at night. People have asked me whether you could ferry back. I don't think the ferries run 24/7. So discussion about Jersey City is incomplete without actually breaking down the different parts of, Jersey City. The parts that are closest to the Hudson River are the Newport waterfront area, there's Paulus Hook, there's Hamilton Park, and there's the Liberty Harbor. So those are the really nice areas that are actually, they look very pretty. They've got their brownstones, they've got these pretty parks, and it's just like a very pretty area. All the nightlife is also there. They have some cool bars. So since that area looks very much like New York in terms of what it has to offer, prettier place to live in, the high rises there definitely go for rents that are at par or even, around the same as what you get in Manhattan. It's when you start moving away from the Hudson River in more inland into New Jersey where the places around you start looking a little worse. It doesn't look as pretty. Like where I live in Journal Square, it's not as pretty. It's not as happening, but it is up and coming. But overall, this area isn't like New York level in terms of what it has to offer. So that's kind of why I'm able to afford a really nice apartment, a luxury apartment in this area. It's just that you have to take a hit. Like there has to be some kind of trade-off. You pay a premium for the area, basically. And because the area that I'm in isn't exactly the best, I don't have to pay that premium. So when you're considering moving to Jersey City, just understand that there are different parts of Jersey City. There are parts that are closer to the Hudson, which are definitely more expensive if you live in a high rise. So I hope this is like a helpful kind of description of what it's like living in Jersey City. I made this decision because of what mattered to me, but it might be something totally different that matters to you. So definitely consider your lifestyle and use that and try to prioritize, because what I've realized is that you can't have everything and you have to prioritize what you really want, what is like a deal breaker for you. And using that, you should be able to make a good decision about where you want to live.